It was a quiet, unassuming town, the kind where everyone knows everyone and nothing much ever happens. But in 1980, that peaceful facade was shattered. 11 altar boys, young boys who served at the local church, vanished without a trace, one by one. They disappeared over several months, leaving behind terrified families and a community gripped by fear. The police launched a massive investigation, but every lead went cold. There were no witnesses, no demands, nothing. It was as if the boys had simply evaporated into thin air. The church, once a sanctuary, became a place of suspicion. At the center of it all was Father Joseph, a charismatic and beloved priest who had mentored all 11 boys. He was questioned, of course, but his alibi was solid, and his grief seemed genuine. He led prayers for the boys' safe return, comforted their heartbroken parents, and held the community together. As months turned into years, hope faded. The posters of the boys' smiling faces grew weathered and torn. The town slowly, painfully, tried to move on, but the mystery left a permanent scar. The case of the missing altar boys became a dark local legend, a ghost story whispered to scare children. Father Joseph continued his service at the church for many years. He was a pillar of the community, respected and admired by all. He eventually retired and passed away peacefully, mourned by the entire town. The secret of what happened to the boys, it seemed, would be buried with him. The case files were moved to the cold case archives, gathering dust, just another unsolved tragedy. For over 2 decades, there was only silence. The families of the missing boys were left with nothing but memories and the agonizing pain of not knowing. Then, 26 years after the last boy disappeared, something incredible happened. A new piece of evidence surfaced, something so small yet so significant that it blew the dust off the old case files. An anonymous letter arrived at the FBI's headquarters. It was short, cryptic, but it contained a chilling accusation, pointing a finger directly at the long-deceased Father Joseph. The letter claimed the priest was not the saint everyone believed him to be and that the answers the town had been seeking for decades lay buried with him. Literally, the FBI, initially skeptical, couldn't ignore the specificity of the letter's claims. They decided to take a drastic step, one that was both controversial and macabre. They obtained a court order to exhume Father Joseph's coffin. The news sent shockwaves through the town. Many were outraged, calling it a desecration of a good man's memory. Others, the families of the lost boys, clung to a fragile, desperate hope. Could the truth finally be unearthed after all this time? The exhumation day was tense. News crews, curious onlookers, and the families of the missing boys gathered at the cemetery, watching as the crew carefully raised the heavy coffin from the earth. The air was thick with anticipation and dread. What would they find? Was this just a cruel hoax? Or would the secrets of that terrible year finally be revealed? The lid was pried open, and what lay inside would not only confirm their worst fears but also unravel a story far more sinister than anyone could have ever imagined. Inside the coffin, alongside the remains of Father Joseph, investigators found something that didn't belong. Tucked away in the lining was a small, leather-bound journal. It was Father Joseph's private diary. As forensic experts carefully turned the fragile, yellowed pages, a dark and meticulous chronicle began to emerge. The priest, a man of God in public, had led a disturbing double life. His diary was filled with twisted thoughts and a chilling obsession with purity and punishment. The entries from 1980 were horrifyingly detailed. Father Joseph wrote about each of the 11 boys. He described luring them one by one to a secret, soundproofed room he had built in the church's catacombs, a place no one else knew existed. He saw himself not as a monster, but as a righteous hand of judgment, convinced he was cleansing the boys of their perceived sins. He detailed his methods, his twisted justifications, and the cold, calculated way he disposed of any evidence. The diary revealed the location of the secret room. FBI agents rushed to the old church, now mostly unused, following the priest's descriptions. They found a hidden door behind a false wall in the basement. The air that hit them as they entered the chamber was stale and cold, and there, they found the final, heartbreaking piece of the puzzle. 11 small, handmade wooden crosses were lined up against the far wall. Beneath the floorboards, they discovered the boys' remains. After 26 years, the missing altar boys had finally been found. The town was plunged into a new kind of grief, a mixture of relief and profound horror. The man they had revered as a saint was, in fact, a monster who had lived among them, hiding in plain sight. The diary was the key, the confession from beyond the grave that solved the 2.5-decade-old mystery. The families finally had answers, but the truth was a devastating blow. Reopening old wounds that had never truly healed, the case was officially closed. But the story of Father Joseph and the lost boys would forever haunt the town. It served as a terrifying reminder that evil can wear the most convincing of masks. The truth can stay buried for a long time, but sometimes it finds a way to crawl back into the light. Thank you for watching this story. For more deep dives into mysteries that have been hidden for years, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Hidden Truth Lane.